Hi everyone, I'm actually sorry about earlier. Um, I thought there was a way to add Miss Tina using my Mac, but apparently not. So we are here. Miss Tina, are you here? So once she gets in, we will have her join us so we do not have to wait anymore. So for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to bring you in even though I can see that you're here. One second. We're gonna figure this out. So give us, we're gonna work out the technical difficulties in about a second. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All right, so we have Miss Tina. We're gonna send the request right now. All right, thank you, Miss Tina, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us for a while. Like I said, the title is instability and how it actually impacts, affects negatively your mental health. Hi, Miss Tina. How are you?
Hey, 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 what is going on? Good to see you.
No, thank you for being with us today. So,
Absolutely.
if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before I ask you the first question.
Oh, yeah. So, everybody, I am Tina Smith. I am the president of the Financial T Coaching and Consulting Firm. I am also an author. I wrote a book about finances called It's Your Turn, Walk in Your Financial Purpose. I have been in the financial industry, it'll be 7 years in January. And I decided to join the ranks of the financial advisor because I wanted to see people do better. I'm retired military. And so after 20 years, 1 month, and 26 days, I decided to give it up. But I did notice that people were leaving the military of all ranks. I'm talking even officers,
Yeah.
and they were not financially prepared. And so, if there was anything that I could do about it, I wanted to be able to help prepare my military brothers and sisters to be ready financially when they departed and not have to continue to stay in the military because they had no other plans or they weren't financially ready, that they can actually go out and join the civilian force, but then also maybe even in entrepreneurship situations. And so that's why I decided to join the ranks of the financial advisor. I decided to become a financial coach, though, after 5 years, because I noticed that agencies were kind of moving away from the normal, regular person, the normal middle class. And so I wanted to make sure that I was out here in the trenches, making sure that individuals who don't make a whole lot of money still be able to get help as far as financial coaching. And so I can set my own parameters about who I help, why I'm helping them, etc. And so I just love what I do. I could talk money all day, as you can tell. And you know me well enough to know this could go on for hours and hours, and we won't even stop.
So I want to thank you for bringing your expertise to the table.
Oh,
And
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
first, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the first question. How do you feel
Okay.
about the quote? You've heard money can't buy happiness. For me, I feel like
Yeah.
money is a little stepping stone to a little bit of happiness. And how do you feel?
Okay. Well, first of all, I will say this. Though the saying may be that money can't buy you, happiness per se, I will say that it sure brings me a lot of peace.
Yeah.
I can say that if I need to make moves, if I want to go on vacation, or if I need to, get to family members very quickly, or if I have something like a flat tire somewhere, whatever the issue is, I can be able to handle that with the money that I have, whether in my bank account, if I need to reach out into other vehicles where I have my money, I always have access, to my, where I don't have to worry about, anything about my needs and even my wants, taking care of my family, roof over my head. So though money can't buy you happiness, that may be true, but I tell you what, it brings a lot of peace.
So exactly. So a lot of times when people are chasing their dollar, and people are like, "Oh, don't worry about money. Money can't buy you happiness." One thing it can buy
Right.
is a peace of mind. So I like
Oh,
your.
100.
So for you as a financial advisor who's been doing this a long time, how do you view financial instability? What does that look like?
Instability.
Instability.
Did I hear that right?
Yes, instability.
Oh, and the unfortunate thing is I see it way too often. Financial instability it has a few faces, if you will. One, financial instability is having a whole lot of debt that all you'll be able to do with your normal income is just to pay the minimum payments.
Hmm.
That says to me that there's some financial instability, but there also to me that there might be some underlying reasons why the debt might be so high. Maybe there might be some things from a self-confidence or self-worth, or feeling as if you're not being left behind or something like that. So just having very high debt alone can mean a myriad of things. And it's up to me as a financial coach to really be able to, talk to a person and try to uncover maybe the root or the multiple layers of why that may be. So that's number one. Number two, I would say financial instability looks like someone to where if they had a flat tire, they don't have enough in savings to take care of said flat tire. When I was 25 years old, four tires, only cost $100. I'm talking about new tires. So this is how
Now,
long this was ago. I mean, now, shoot, you can drive a Ford Focus and spend $150 on one tire. So, being able to handle the smallest of emergencies, that if you cannot rather handle the smallest of emergencies, I would say that also looks like financial instability. And then lastly, I would say from a mental health perspective, that every time something with a dollar sign comes up, there's a level of anxiety, there's nervousness, there's strict angst, about something to where, say, it could be something simple like, you're at work and they're wanting to do a function for, one of your coworkers, and, you're crying about $20, having to give, so, there's a gift or something like that. So if there's like an angst, like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? I can't afford $20 or whatever. If that's you, you may have a level of financial instability, but that's okay. It's a matter of recognizing exactly where you are, owning up to it, and being okay with owning up to that, but then doing something about it. And that's just seeking the right level of help to actually do something about it.
and that's where a financial advisor comes into play, right?
That's exactly where, somebody like me would absolutely come into play. And everyone needs to know that you don't have to be rich to find someone to do that, with you, and to lock arms with you and walk on that financial path with you. You don't have to be rich. I wasn't rich. I was an E4 when I got my first financial advisor. I was making a whopping $19,000 in base pay. I wasn't married. I didn't have any kids. So yeah, I lived in the barracks and went to the chow hall, but hey, I wasn't rich by all means. But that person did sit down and take some time with me to figure out why I was living check to check, and then, what it was that I wanted to do to stop living check to check.
Right.
So the first thing is you need to know is you don't have to be rich to get someone like that in your life. The second thing that you need to know is that is the no judgment zone. So the person across the table from you or sitting next to you drinking a Starbucks, hot beverage, that person's not looking at you like, you should have been smarter than that. It is always a mind of, okay, we know where you are. Let's work together to work out of it. And so those are the two biggest things, that I believe that are stigmas as far as having somebody like me in your life is to, again, number one, you don't have to be rich, but then number two, it's a no judgment zone.
Right. Right. So I like how this brings it to my next point, how you said you were an E4 when you decided to get a financial advisor. And when my husband and I came to you, we weren't really financially like hurting. But when I left Okinawa, I had a certain amount of money that I didn't have anymore when I was in the States. And I had worked hard to save all that money, and seeing it kind of like dwindle a little bit was kind of hurtful to me. So we came to you to get us back on track, and it was one of the best decisions we made. So that leads to my next question. At what point in our lives should we be looking towards establishing financial stability? Because as you know, there's some households where the kids have bills in their names before they're even 10.
Yeah.
So their financial world is already in ruins before they
Yes.
step outside of home. So now there's that anxiety you talked about becoming an adult and being able to step out there and do adult before you can get started. At what point should we or the people who are our parents, our guardians, at what point should we or they take seriousness in our financial stability?
That's a wonderful question. I absolutely love this question. I'm going to uncover some things here, though. Let's start with the parents. Parents, from a financial coach, financial professional, that is not a good idea.
Right.
I think the intent is, oh, if I open this in my child's name, they're going to have great credit. I think that's always, a parent or guardian's intent. The unfortunate thing is life happens. And if that child's credit is ruined because we did not take the right actions or life happened and we just said, oh my goodness, we're just so overwhelmed and kind of it is what it is. Now the financial future of that young person has just been derailed.
Right.
I think that's a really good word. Because it's already in our community. I mean, let's just face it. In our community, there's already a feeling of we can't get ahead. Mm-hmm. And so, with that being said, we're not only behind, but now we're 2 or 3 steps behind than maybe our peers. So here's what I do in our house, and my husband's absolutely on board. What we've done is establish a savings account for our son. Now, again, I don't agree with having bills per se in the young person's name, but what I do agree with is actually something that I got from Dave Ramsey's daughter. I'm not a follower of Dave Ramsey and stuff, and there might be some things that we may disagree on, but there are some things that I believe that there are really, really good foundational items that are taught, with his university. And one of the things that I learned from his daughter actually is that she was what was called on commission. So basically what that means is the child has, chores, whether it be to clean the room, load the dishwasher, run the vacuum, take out the trash. Well, these are some things that we have our son do. It is every chore has a particular dollar amount to it. Right. And so say to take out the trash is $2 because you do it twice a week, right? So every chore has a dollar amount. If there is no chore done that week, say he didn't take out the trash, and he was supposed to, then he's not getting that dollar that week. So by the end of the month, we're tallying up, what his commission is because he actually did those chores and did the work. And he can earn up to $30 a month. And that brother works to earn that $30. So he earns his 30 bucks. And so what we've done is we've allowed him, now that he is a high schooler, he's had a phone since he was in middle school, but he's a high schooler, so he just got his new phone maybe 2 months ago. So of course he had to have an iPhone. And I don't know. But I allowed him to shop with his money about what his phone will be. So he asked some great questions. And this is something that we've started with him. I would say probably 6, 7, or 8 years old, when he knows when he goes to GameStop, he goes directly to the refurbished games, or he goes to the games on sale. So he already knows what's up, right? So he didn't even know what the new games cost. So he uses his hustle with his other family members, like his grandparents and aunts and uncles, actually get some of the newer games, if you will. So those are like Christmas presents, birthday presents. But if he's spending his money, he knows to go to the for sale section. Anyway, back to the phone situation. So he goes in and he's asking questions about what this phone does, what that phone does. And one of the questions was, how much will this cost per month? So he's thinking in his mind, okay, I'm earning 30 bucks a month. How much of my money do I want to spend on my phone per month? So we don't have the phone necessarily in his name, but he is responsible for paying for the phone that he chose. So in his case, his iPhone costs $5 a month for him. So he pays, his little bill. Of course, we don't pay him 30 bucks. We just pay 25. But he was totally fine with it. He said, okay, I don't want to pay the $10 out. It's a little bit too much out of my monthly commission. So absolutely his choice. But those are some of the things that we do to make sure that not only does he establish, a savings for himself, that he can, we can go in and allow him to log in and see his account, but he can also be aware of how much money that he has left and how much money he wants to spend. Another thing that I would say is something that within our community we don't really do is kind of teach our kids like the bill situation. Like I've never seen, like when I was growing up, I never saw a bill, in my household. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or that my parents didn't do right by me. But what I am saying is I think it's very helpful to allow my son to know this water that you running up costs. And this is how much it costs a month. So I want him to get an understanding that, though he thinks everything in the house is free because it just comes on or whatever, I think, at his age, he's about to be 15, he needs to understand that these things cost and how much. And so he's gone over our budget with me before. He's gone over, how to log in and pay a bill and things. So I am exposing him to what life is really like, because I mean, in 3 to 4 short years, he's going to be out living on his own potentially, whether it be at a college, whether it be in the military. He's going to be doing something. Or shoot, if even he moves back here, he recognizes that things aren't free and that, he's going to have to adult, if you will. But I want him to be armed, in the best way on how to do that.
And there is a way to do that without tarnishing that child's credit. And
oh, no doubt about it. Yes, I, I sense the disgust.
So a lot of times, okay, and I like how you said, okay, we're trying to say, okay, I'm going to prepare that child to have good credit. Okay, but
yeah,
the stronger credit. From what I've seen, a lot of parents or guardians who bills in their children's name is because they themselves do not have good credit enough to obtain what
that is true.
So it's not in the benefit of the child. So what we do is we take the child through the same financial and mental instabilities that we were taken through, and we create this generational curse. And I know in your
yes,
talk about generational wealth, creating generational wealth, something that is continuous down the generations. But what we can also create is financial instability that gets carried down from generation to generation. So I really like your points. I want to just add before I go to the next question that one thing that my husband and I do for my son is we have him a bank account, a checkings account, and a savings account.
yeah.
And every month we just put a little something in there, And when he's 18 and he's going to college, he's not one. We already have his finance, his college, set, but he's not going to go to college broke. Or when he's ready to have a car, we have that little, checking and savings account there for him. And I feel like that also builds
Right.
generational wealth as well, teaching him to save money, teaching him to prepare not only for himself but for his children. Hopefully, he passes that down to them, right? Hello, Joseph.
Right.
Thank you for joining us. So the next question would be,
Oh, no, 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 no. I'm not going to let you get away with that one. I'm going to share some too. And first of all, I love what you guys are doing with your son. And he's so fast. But I love that. And, for those individuals who are following you, I even want to provide even a level up, if you will. I love what you guys are doing. And then for those individuals who feel like, you know what, maybe there's something else that I could do other than just a savings and a checking account. Something else that we've done, you brought up college. Now, before the post 9/11 came to be, we did open a 529 for our son. And so that is a way that you can, add dollars, to the child's education. Now, you and I and our husbands, all four of us are military. So we do have the post 9/11 in for our situation, our sons get extra time and that's super cool.
right.
But there may be an option to where our son wants to go to college later on in life. If he chooses to do that, yeah, he can do this until, his dying day. He can still use that 529 money even past, normal college years. So if he's 50 and he said, you know what, I'm going to go take basket weaving, he can actually use that 529 money to do that
Yes.
because, it is still in his name. Number one. Number two, if he says, you know what, I don't need that, my parents post 9/11 was good enough or whatever, he can take that account, or I can take that account since I'm the custodian at this time. And then say, if I wanted to change it to his child, I can absolutely do that and rename that fund to, his child. Can do that. And then even on top of that, you can also consider opening what's called a Uniform Gift for Minors Act account. And basically what this is just basically, in my opinion, it can be like a backup to savings, if you will, to where the child can have, some money growing in an investment vehicle.
Yes.
And being able to put a little bit of money there. So when you're talking about the car, let's say for college, let's say they have to move out of the dorms at college because now they're upperclassmen, they need furniture, whatever the case may be, whether it be down payment for a first home, that money that you put into that Uniform Gift for Minors Act account could be used for those things. That's how we can start, generational wealth. And that's while, we're living, we can start doing those things. And then, of course, I'm a big proponent for life insurance. I have my own, opinions about the different types and kinds. And, I've had these conversations before. But I mean, shoot, if there's a kind of life insurance that you could get to where, it expires when you do and not before you do, that is absolutely a very inexpensive way to really effectively leverage, thousands, if not tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to pass to, your heirs. And, so those are just some simple ways. I mean, again, from what you're doing with your son is great. And then even, you can level up whenever you're ready and do those other things. And these are things that have always been in place. It's up to us to actually, enact these things. And now that we have the information, we have zero excuse on not doing it. If that's something that's a priority, we then need to make sure that we carve out monies in our budget to make sure that that happens. And we started off with, putting $25 in our son's account, his investment account per month. I mean, it takes nothing. You just got to find somebody to help you enact it, but it can absolutely be done.
So my follow-on question is a little. I didn't know if I wanted to ask it, but I'm going to.
Okay,
So,
go ahead, girl.
in our community, and when I say our community, I'm talking about not rich Black people. I'm talking about middle class,
Yeah.
not out there Black people who, or others who don't have the money in the bank but have all the fancy Jordans and the Louis and the all this stuff, but they're probably not going to be able to pay their rent next month because they spent
Yeah,
all of
right.
dashing for people. And like you said in the beginning, what we don't realize is how that right there is a sign that mentally something is wrong. Because for you to be in a financial bind but still have money set aside to flaunt for people who couldn't care less about you, um,
Right.
but you have money for that. How what is a way of it? How should we redirect our thinking and our views of ourselves to society in order to get ourselves back in shape financially?
What a mind blowing question. I mean, you're talking about a whole, here's what I like to call it. When you have a mindset like the mindset that you're describing, it's like I call it whipping a U-turn in a cruise ship. You can't just be like, hold on, we're gonna whip this U-ing in this cruise ship. No, you can only do that in like a Ford Focus, right?
Right.
So it's so important. It's going to be small turns, just little shifts, little course corrections. And what I found is that I want to have those nice things too. But what I found is I don't want to just have them now. I want to have them now and later.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, in order for me to do that, I'm going to have to say no to some things. Now, I didn't have my first new car. Shoot, I was 25 when I bought my first new car. I was, probably 32 when I got my second new car. My first luxury vehicle, though, I saved 14 years for. And I put money to the side. So, I said no to, things that I probably could afford, but chose not to because I wanted to drive, decent cars. But when I was really ready to turn it up, I wanted to turn it up and turn it up right. So I had to say no to some things, but I said yes to others. And then when I said yes to things, if you've known me for 2 minutes, you know that I never buy anything full price. If I'm going to shop for an outfit, if that outfit is on sale, it's going to stay right where it's at. Or if I want to go out to eat, my hustle for a long time was to go during lunch hours where the prices were a lot less, but I could still get the same,
Right.
feel or food. I mean, look, you talking about balling on a budget. That was my tagline, was balling on a budget. And so it was important for me to say, okay, I do want to have some cool things. I do want to have some fun now. But when it's time for me to, like, be in my 50s, I want to, it doesn't matter. That's just how I felt. So with that being said, if I said yes to it, it had to be at a particular price. I had to be very disciplined to say, I'm not going to buy this item unless it is this price. And if it's not that price, I'm walking away. It's hard to do, but it became a lifestyle for me. And I'm so glad that I did, because with that, I mean, the only debt that we have is our home, and we're going to be working very hard to go ahead and pay that off. So we have absolutely no debt. Any vehicle that you see in my driveway in the garage, they're all paid for. So anything that everything is paid for. And I really appreciate being able to have that flexibility in our finances, to where if we want to go on a vacation, or if, we just wanted to save and we just wanted to put more in our investment accounts or something like that, we have the flexibility to do that. But there's absolutely no way we would be able to do that had we not sacrificed and was disciplined early on, in our careers, and then in our marriage, and then early, on in our family status.
So I want to just add this, right? A lot of this bad behavior started when we were children. Not me,
Oh
because
yeah.
my parents knew better. But I was around people who lived in low neighborhoods, who had houses, who were falling apart, but, you know,
Mm-hmm.
nice clothes and all the nice shoes, sacrifice the things that mattered, like living in a
Yeah.
suitable neighborhood, in order to put their children and the new Jordans or to buy all these fancy stuff. So I feel like a lot of this
Right.
bad behavior is also passed down from our parents or our guardians who lets us believe that it's okay to live this way. So like you said,
Yeah. And
we
just,
don't
yeah.
have it. Sometimes we're spending money we don't have. I don't have it, but I'm gonna have $500 next week, so I'm going to spend it now. And it's a mindset. It really is.
It truly is a mindset. And just think that if, say, the parent, let's just say a parent or a guardian bought a pair of Jordans once a quarter. So that's what, 4 pairs of Jordans. Normally, we're looking at between 150, 200, maybe even more. If instead of buying 4 pairs of Jordans, what if only just 2 pair a year?
Right.
And then the other money could be spent, whether it be for future education for the child, like in a 529, or put that money away in a savings account so that child can make a decision if he or she wants to, spend money on something that's meaningful to them. Or if we put that money in like the Uniform Gift for Minors Act account, like we were talking about. Those are the things. So I'm not saying, no Jordans forever. No, my son like them too. At every given moment we go do it. Some of the money that we could spend on him is for his future. So, he's a thousandaire. He don't know that, and it just started by $25 a month. It's
Right.
just what I find is it's small amounts that if you just continue to allow the small amount to continue to build and build, before you know it, you're like, wait, how much do we have? And it's all because you said no to a couple things, not everything,
Not
but
every
just some things.
Because you work hard, so you're allowed to have nice things. You work very hard.
Oh yeah.
Why why? So I wanna say something towards Tiff. Tiff here says, see, that's why I work for a job so that I can spend time. So she came out of nowhere, but I really want you to speak on that because let's imagine, you told us when we first met you, you're dual military, you're getting 2 good checks, BAH, all that good stuff.
Yep.
There's no reason why you should be struggling, and there's also no reason why you can't have nice things. So I feel like if we are to the point where we have to work 4 jobs and then we're spending, maybe our spending habits need to be revisited because there should be time in there where we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
There's
Tiffy Whiffy caramel apples. First of all, I love caramel apples. I love them.
that's the one.
But Tiffy Whiffy, love you. But here's some things that deal with the 4 jobs. I'm sure you're tired, honey. Do you even have an opportunity to spend said money? What I like to try to do is talk to individuals and help them, allow them to enjoy their dollars, but in a way where it's within their budget. I hope that made sense. So
Yes.
say, Tiffy Whiffy, say, babe, if you work 2 jobs, then you can say, okay, I'm going to live off this one check. I'm not saying that you can, Tiffy Whiffy. I'm just trying to make a point. I can, okay, good. She says she makes time. I'm glad. But what I found is, okay, let's say you keep the 4 jobs. Then maybe one of those jobs would be, instead of spending it on, going away on a staycation or something like that, maybe put some money away for you for your future, like open an IRA for yourself, or which is an individual retirement account, to where you can still, spend like you want to, but when you're over 60 years old.
Yes.
Because I want you to be able to not have to work those 4 jobs, when you're my age. I'm 45. So when you get to my age, I don't want you to still have to work those 4 jobs. I want you to, be able to tone down as the older you get, so you can actually enjoy it and enjoy it the way that you want to, instead of being on somebody's clock.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely. You make a great point, Eunice, that it's important that we, tone down and look at, kind of the bare things that we need. Now, if you know me, I do not do like a ramen noodles or beans and weenies. I am not that. I've never been and I never will be. But I wanted to make sure that I had my basic needs met, and that, again, I just had to say no to some things. When I had a second job, so I was in the military, and then when I was at E5, I worked at the bowling alley for a while, and I used my bowling alley money to have my fun. And then I used my military pay to get out of debt. So it was just for me like a different mindset in order for me to say, if I'm serious about this thing, then I can get out of debt. So Tiffany Whiffy says that she is spending money and saving. Girl, do your thing. That's what I'm talking about. As long as you have the foundation and you're actually putting money away for yourself, I'm cool with that. You said you have 2 IRAs. Think about this too. Make sure you put money away to where it's still in an investment vehicle, but it's not all tied up in money that you can't touch until you're 59 and a half years of age. Just a little tidbit. Just a little tidbit.
Because I was like, oh, I want these shoes, but I can't touch any of my. So, I mean, it helps me because I ended up not getting the shoes because I didn't really need them. But if I do have an emergency that comes up where I need money, I'm not going to be able to touch any of it because it's tied up. So that is a good point that you said there. So
Absolutely.
I have just a couple more questions, and you can tie these two
Okay.
up. And so, in our community, it's specifically in our community, since we're trying to get out of all these financial burdens and create financial wealth for the generation that's coming after us, our children, our children's children. How does financial struggles Tell us, how does financial struggles mentally negatively impact us in our community? And also, what is a good way ahead? How do we create generational wealth? And how do we pass that generational wealth on to the next generation so that they can continue to carry on the baton?
Okay, great. Let's start from step number one. Step number one is to make sure that you budget in a way to where you're taking care of your needs and some of your wants, but you're also making sure, like Tiffy Whiffy, she puts money away for her future. That's something that's so important, because I don't want to be that kind of person that I'm working, when I'm 65 or 70 years old because I have to and I can't make my ends meet. I want to be able to put some money away today so that I can still have, fun, if not even more fun, in my latter years, and really be able to enjoy life. The next thing that I would say is to make sure that you start working on your debt. If you have any debt, car, credit cards, store cards, and things of that nature, make sure that you are finding your way to work out of that. I would also recommend to make sure that as you're doing that, make sure that you're also beefing up your savings. What happens is people who don't have savings and an emergency happens, they lean on that credit card or that debt that they're desperately trying to get out of. So it's very important to still maintain a balance to make sure that there are still some money in savings. And then when we're talking, so that's building, you up, building yourself up. But it's more than just about you, right? Especially if you have, children, and even if you don't have children, you have nieces and nephews or godchildren that you love and you want to, see them, have a hand up, later on in life. Consider opening accounts for them in their names to where you're the custodian. And, when they turn the age of majority, which in some states is 18 years of age and others it's 21, being able to, hand that money over to them in a responsible way to where they're able to carry on, that legacy. And then, that young, maybe can, buy a car that, doesn't require them to get into debt, or they can, purchase the vehicle, but not in a way to where the interest rate is so high that they'll never pay it off. Or maybe even a down payment for a home, or maybe even, be able to buy some land with that money. That's how we can start, doing that. And a child is never too young to, do this. You
Right.
can always open, something like that for your child at age 0. As long as the child is breathing, you can open an account for that child. And then don't be shy about talking with somebody about life insurance and making sure that you're able to leverage, your premiums into, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to pass along as well. Some of the insurances that are available, Some of them you can actually use while living. So just a quick example, I was able to, my husband and I actually were able to use some cash value in some of our life insurance policies to purchase investment property. So that was a really, big help. And it was a lot less in interest to do that versus going to get a personal loan or something like that, which was
Right.
in the teens percent. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were being charged like 14.65%. And I'm like, my credit score is way too high to be paying 14% on anything. So that's a no. So, those are the things that, we could do now. But then also, don't be shy about buying life insurance for your kid. Now, of course, and I say this in my book, no parent expects, their child to, die before them. And that's absolutely not my expectation. But what I want is for my son to, when he has children and grandchildren, these are assets that he can be able to pass along to them. So when I sign my son's life insurance policy over to him and he leaves it to his wife and kids, they don't have to worry about, burying him or being able to carry on without his income. He's still okay. And the reason why it was important for us to start that trajectory is because at so my son's about to turn 15. So at age 8, we bought him a small policy. And shucks, I mean, at age 8, he didn't have any pre-existing conditions. So of course, it was super inexpensive, to get him some life insurance that even he would have cash value and whatnot. So these are the things that have been in operation in other communities for years. Now it's up to us to be able to enact some of these things and be able to, pass these things on. The last thing I'll say, and this is even a step up, a level up from that, is getting a trust. I did not say a will. I said a trust. So what's the difference? A will is being able to, leave things, to your family and whatnot. But a trust not only gives you medical directives and things that a will not give you, number one, but number two, it allows those assets to be tucked away into somewhere where you still have access to it, but the creditors and anybody trying to sue you, and I'm a mom of a boy, so whether it be future baby mamas or his wife says, oh, you got all this money, I'm out of here, I'm taking half. No, no, boo boo, that money isn't a trust. So
Right.
that is locked away to where that is money to be used for him and his seeds, not because his wife or baby mom want to trip one day and decide to try to take my baby for half. That is a negative. Anyway, that's my soapbox. But and anyway, but those are some things that we can really start to do to, like, for real, provide that general wealth that other communities have been doing for years. We can do this, y'all. We can absolutely do this.
And I do want to bring you back one day because I do want to talk about all the wealth that other communities have been tapping into all these years that
Yes. Yes.
have no clue about, And the one you talked about earlier, the 509 one of them, we didn't even learn about that.
529.
There you go. We didn't even learn about that until
Yeah.
you. That's when we learned about it. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I'm so glad you guys have grown so much. I'm so proud of you both.
so there's a lot of money out there and a lot of ways to
Yes.
save the generation after us that we just don't know about because our community is not well versed in that. So if we can just
Yeah.
bring
Exactly.
front and we can start building that generational wealth that we want for our people so badly. So
No
so
doubt about it. And that's why my tagline on my shirt is called Make Dollars Make Sense. We want to make money. We absolutely want to make money. We want to make as much as we can. But we have to make it make sense, not only for ourselves, but for our generations to come. We got to.
right. And that's why it's important for us to know that the things we're going through now because of financial instability, it's no need to take our children through that. Create a way that
Yes.
we protect our children from that lifestyle so that they're not financially struggling their whole lives and then having children that are also going to financially struggle their
Yes.
whole lives. We do not have to
That
live
is
like
so
that.
good.
Right.
No.
But it comes with knowledge and learning, understanding, knowing, and having the right people show us the right things so that we can continue to move
Yes.
forward. So I really, really thank you for your time. Everyone,
Thank you for having me. I
look,
appreciate it.
it's your turn. Walking Your Financial Purpose, Tina Smith, The Financial T. She is also on Facebook,
Yes.
The Financial T, the letter T. She is amazing, I'm telling you. The path my husband and
Thank
I
you.
are on to save money and to set our son up is all because of one visit with the Financial T, and we've been.
Thank you so much.
So the mental health aspect of financial instability, a lot of that can be avoided and prevented if we allow the right people into our lives. And one of those people are financial advisors. Thank you so much, Miss Tina, for allowing me to interview you and you providing the information to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll be happy to come back.
Thank you. I cannot wait.